Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the At the Water's Edge podcast, where we look for insights beyond the headlines and take a practitioner's view on national security and geopolitics. It's the 9th of June, 2025. Let's get started. All right, so we've got a real hot take for you this morning. Here's the hot take. Nuclear war is bad. Controversial statement, I know, but nuclear war is bad. Not just because it kills a lot of people, but because if two nuclear-armed states ever actually had a nuclear war and did a general exchange of nuclear weapons, it would release so much radiation into the atmosphere that it would trigger a nuclear winter and wipe out all human life on planet Earth. Now, I still haven't seen the 5th season of Stranger Things, so I really like to stick around for a while. So, everyone's got a real strong interest to avoid a general nuclear exchange between nations. That's why folks freak out about the U.S. getting too involved in Ukraine and potentially getting NATO involved, which would trigger a direct confrontation between the U.S. and Russia. We get worried about potential escalations with China. We worry about every time that fat man in North Korea gets a new case of hemorrhoids and feels like firing off a missile. Everyone's on edge about this. So anytime that you have two nuclear-armed states engaging in open direct hostilities, we got to pay attention. We got to find a way to wrap that up. We can't let that go on. It risks the entire world, regardless of how you care about the issues at hand. We're all involved, by default, right out of the gate. So, of course, recently, Pakistan and India have engaged in open hostilities. They've been shooting at each other. And, of course, both of them have nuclear weapons. So what's going on here? Well, on April 22nd, 2025, a group of terrorists attacked a group of tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir, killing 26 people. India accused Pakistan of supporting the terrorists that carried out the attack, and in retaliation, conducted Operation Sindoor on May 7th. Operation Sindoor saw India launch missiles from fighter jets at 9 targets inside of Pakistani-controlled Kashmir and Pakistan proper itself. They said they're going after militant camps, Pakistan saying that they killed a bunch of civilians. So Pakistan responded in kind with a bunch of long-range mortar fire. Both sides did drone strikes on each other. Things got real messy real fast. Pakistan claimed to have shot down a bunch of Indian jets. India claimed to have shot down a bunch of Pakistani drones. Casualties on both sides. A peace arrangement was reached on May 10th. Pakistan saying that the U.S. pressured India into it. India saying that no one talked to them at all. They made their own decision. Who knows what happened? Now, since this ceasefire, India has further escalated tensions by withdrawing from the Indus Water Treaty. Now, the Indus Water Treaty governs the use of water that flows into India and Pakistan from the Indus River Valley. It is a key source of fresh water for Pakistan. And Pakistan has indicated that any disruption to its water supply would potentially cross a red line for them that would justify a nuclear response. Yikes. Nobody wants that. We can all see where that would go. Now, thankfully, the shooting has mostly stopped. Some sporadic engagements across the line of demarcation in Kashmir, which is one of the most highly disputed pieces of geography in the planet. And both India and Pakistan have started a worldwide tour going to capitals around the world, trying to curry favor with different governments to form an alliance that could help them pressure the other side into backing down. Now, last week, both countries, India and Pakistan, had delegations in Washington, D.C. at the same time. And we had a wonderful opportunity to sit down and talk with a member of the Pakistani delegation, Senator Bushra Anjum. She currently serves as the chairperson of the Senate Standing Committee on Federal Education and Professional Training in Pakistan. She has made multiple trips to the U.S. as a representative of the Pakistani government since she was elected to the Senate last year. And it was wonderful to have this opportunity to speak with her. And before anyone gets too mad that we're talking to somebody from the Pakistani delegation and not the Indian delegation, yes, we do have a request in at the Indian embassy to speak to one of their representatives. They said they're thinking about it. Haven't heard back yet, but we'll be happy to have someone from India on as soon as they make themselves available. With that, let's get to our conversation with Senator Bushra Anjum from Pakistan. Well, hello and welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
No worries. Thank you for giving us this platform.
Happy to have you on. Now, my understanding is that you're currently in the U.S., down in D.C. You're part of a delegation from Pakistan. Would love to know what you're here doing, but could you please introduce yourself to the audience in your own words? Who are you, and what role in the Pakistani government do you have?
So I am Senator Bushra Anjum Butt, and I'm a Pakistani parliamentarian, and I'm here on a mission of peace. We're here because recently we've had this episode of a war-like situation, actually a war, and thanks to President Trump and his intervention, that we actually were successful in achieving a ceasefire. But the ceasefire that we believe is a ceasefire, the Prime Minister of India, which is Modi, is referring to it as a pause. So we come here where we had 2 days in New York, and the whole idea is to ask for all the countries, especially US, who has influence over India, to act as a mediator and to talk about things, because war is not the solution. We've seen it in so many circumstances, be it Gaza, be it any other country for that matter. And why we're facing this war-like situation is because of water. So what India is doing right now is basically it's weaponizing water. Now, going back to our 2 days in New York, feel free to cut me wherever, because I'm just trying to build up the momentum, tell you about the history.
You're on a roll. I have some follow-ups. Finish your thought.
So basically, India and Pakistan signed an Indus Water Treaty.
Mm-hmm.
And now they want to walk out of a treaty. So it's a bilateral agreement. You can't walk out. And so we wanted to have that discussion with UN, and it's not the first time. So for the past 2.5 years, India is not abiding by the treaty. And there have been multiple instances, for example, building of dams, which is against the treaty, right? Mm-hmm. So we are of the opinion that if Indus Water Treaty does not have any standing, then what about the rest of the treaties?
Yeah.
Because if one country can just get up and walk out of a treaty, then the rest of the world, it's setting up examples which will not go very well. Mm-hmm. Now, there's an Indian delegation as well. While we're touring different states of US, so is the Indian delegation with their narrative. Now, what is our narrative? Our narrative is of peace. So we come with peace. We want talks. We want diplomacy. We want, because Pakistan right now, what we're interested, the Prime Minister's prerogative is trade. It's economic development. Never did we ever think that we'd have to face a war like a situation, right? So before I carry forward, I'm going to stop, pause, and give you the floor. Yes.
So let's back up a little bit, because you brought up the Water Treaty, which is something I absolutely want to get to, because it's absolutely incredible in the status of international law, and you're here in New York and DC talking about it. But let's back up for some folks who probably don't follow the news as closely as you and I do. There's recently been open hostilities between Pakistan and India. Yes. And I'm going to give a summary, and I would love to get your response to it. So in Kashmir, which is a disputed region between India and Pakistan, both y'all own about half of it and administer it. There was a terrorist attack in April carried out by a terrorist organization that claims affiliation with Pakistan. Mm-hmm. India responded saying that this is a Pakistani-sponsored terrorist attack, and then dropped bombs on 9 different locations, not only in Pakistani-administered Kashmir, but also in Pakistan proper itself, which is quite the escalation. Y'all responded, you shot down some jets, folks died on both sides. There was a huge exchange of mortar fire, artillery, drones, and then a peace deal was announced, I think it was May 10th.
Yes.
And so now there is this pause currently, but India in the meantime announced that they were no longer honoring this water treaty that they had reached, I think it was back in the 1960s, if I recall.
Yes.
So before we get to the water treaty, the implications there, could you walk us through what the heck happened in Kashmir, and why is the entire world now worried that 2 nuclear-armed superpowers might go toe-to-toe?
So basically, what happened in India, a terrorist attack happened, and there were serious allegations made by India that they found Pakistani footings there. So we, like a civilized country, like how things you go, you don't make allegations, start bombing. So we said, let's hold some kind of investigation, like a third party investigation, and let's find out if you have proof, you give it to us. For example, we had a certain incident happening in Balochistan, which is another province in Pakistan, and it was a similar kind of terrorist attack on a train. And we found footings, we had proof that India was involved, and we showed the world the proof, right? But having said that, we just told the world that we found India involved, and this is the kind of proof that we have. We did not start bombing India. India, on the other hand, was not up for an investigation. Now, you have to understand one thing. There's going to be elections soon in India, in Bihar. That's another region, right? And Indian elections are always based on anti-Pakistan campaign. So this is a trend that we've been following. That every time there's an election in India, because the emotions, you see, these two countries, the people are very they're emotionally high. Be it cricket, be it, because we were once part of India, and somehow now that India and Pakistan, two separate countries, downfall of any one country just creates a lot of emotional upsurge, right? So whenever we've noticed, and in fact, Pakistan elections, we've never based our election campaigns on India. It's never about India when it comes to Pakistani election. But Indian elections, because of maybe because there's this diversity there, there are Muslims there, and there's an anti Modi sentiment amongst the Muslims. And now Bihar is a province where there's a lot of Muslim majority. So every time research says, history says, fact says there's an election in India, something or the other happens in Pakistan. Modi wanted to bomb and become the hero, but things didn't work well because we showed restraint. We tried to talk it out. We held our guns for 5 days, but then we wanted to show the world, and especially India, that do not take our peace mission or peace or restraint as our weakness. Then, Alhamdulillah, our armed forces prove that we are way better. We shot down their and to get the facts straight, we attacked the military installations, right? They attacked the civilians.
Well, they would argue, if I believe, that the installations that they attached were all locations where terrorist cells were actively operating. What would response be to those claims?
We held an independent investigation. We took the international journalist, all of this. We took them to that place where they were saying there's a whole delegation that went to that place, and we said, please show us where the terrorists are. This is the place they bombed, where a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, minors got martyred. This is the kind of loss, and this is not because we do not want to lose civilians. We do not want to attack civilians either side of the border.
So it sounds like you're on this international journey, you're making this appeal, and you'd like the international community to get involved in some way in resolving this dispute or keeping it from escalating. What exactly it is that you're hoping for the international community to step in and do? Is it to provide peacekeepers along the line of demarcation, similar to, Egypt and Sinai and Israel? What is it you're asking for the international community?
The world that we live in, we actually want to set an example here. That war is not the answer. If you look around you, there are war happening in every pocket now. We are surrounded by these small pockets, which is just growing. So let's all because Pakistan comes with a message of peace, but peace with responsibility. So maybe if we set this trend that if two countries are facing an issue, let's not use weapons, because it's not going to be about India and Pakistan anymore. The whole region, two nuclear state, as if you've mentioned, things can really escalate. So what we're trying to do is, and give a message to the world as well. We've seen enough misery, be it Gaza, be it any other country for that matter, be it Kashmir. What we've seen in Kashmir, the way India has forced itself on Kashmir. We've seen all sort of things. So we just want to set an example and revisit the idea of diplomacy, revisit the idea of sitting together and helping each other. You see, it's so sad. We're meeting the right people. We were in UN for 2 days. We were in Capitol Hill meeting congressmen, congresswomen, and we wanted to meet them for trade, for economic development, for the bilateral trade. This is the kind of agreements that we wanted, and yet here we're talking about war. We're talking about, please come. We don't want to go 20 years back, because war is going to just take us back. And because we've seen what's happening around us, and it's we don't want to get indulged in an egoistic war. That's our only appeal. And maybe we could give this message to the world as well, that war is never the answer. It just damages, and then there's no ending. It's you attack, then we attack, then you attack, and we attack. And these are nuclear countries. So yes.
So how well was that message received in Washington, D.C.? Because it appears in D.C. that there is definitely a change in how congressmen and senators and bureaucrats are approaching international relations with the Trump administration. And what you're describing sounds like an appeal to the international rules-based order that's existed since World War II. But we have a Trump administration that is leading the charge in dismantling that very international rules-based order. So how has your message been received in Washington, D.C.?
Scott, you know what? Because President Trump is also interested in one thing, and that's peace, trade, economic activity. And that's what we want as well, right?
I'll be very happy to hear you say that.
Yes, so that's what we're saying. Help us. And why we chose US? Because US has a certain amount of influence on India. And President Trump is very, very particular about the fact that he doesn't want war anywhere. He just wants trade. And that's what we want as well. Because we've seen some really tough time dealing with IMF and the deals that we make, the contract that we sign. Our people need a breath of fresh air. They need all the kind of investment, and we cannot bring in investment if we cannot promise stability, security. These are our issues. No foreigner is going to invest in Pakistan. We have a CPEC that we had China-Pakistan Economic Corridor to look at, and we cannot provide, we don't have those kind of resources to give extra security to all the foreigners who want to invest in Pakistan. So if you ask us, our meeting has gone very well, because our message is very clear. You help us, and then we are in a position to do trade with you. We are in a position to give investment opportunities to the world. And if we go into war, this whole region goes into war. The message was taken very positively. The response was very good. It's not about us taking sides. It's not about us asking US or the president to take sides. Which country is right, which country is wrong. We are being very practical. We are saying mediate, so this region is protected from war.
Okay. You said something there at the top that was very interesting. You talked about choosing to come to the U.S. My understanding is that Pakistan has sent out 2 delegations, one to Russia and one to the U.S. that's also visiting New York City and D.C., but then also London and Brussels.
Yes.
Those are excellent power centers to visit for obvious reasons. But then you also mentioned the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which I believe the leader of your political party is actually a huge proponent of and helped negotiate that. I'm curious, is there a reason why Pakistan didn't send a delegation to Beijing? Because it seems like it's a very obvious power broker in the region that can help mediate this dispute.
Definitely, this is just, there are several delegations going in different directions. Because you see, what's worrying us is the kind of negative hate speech comments that uh, Prime Minister Modi is making. You see, he keeps on saying that to the addressing to the Pakistani youth and saying, "You eat your bread, or you'll have to eat my bullet." So this is the kind of so we've sent delegations everywhere. Our delegations are going to Russia. Our delegations are going to Turkey, Uzbekistan, Saudi. Right now, the prime minister is there in Saudi as well, and then China. China is a huge ally, and they're supporting us with. You see, even regarding Indus Water Treaty, we've had such powerful statements from Chinese that if India tries to stop Pakistan's water, then India will have to face the consequences because the water is flowing through China in India and then Pakistan. So yes, so we're making sure we have allies everywhere.
Okay.
Yes, this is one delegation that is covering this. There are several delegations going in different directions. Because you see, right now, the urgency is that there is no mediator between Pakistan and India. And if India or Modi tries to act all adventurous again, things will not be, things are not looking good then.
Can you walk us through what does the escalation ladder look like between India and Pakistan? We have the ceasefire for now. India has seemingly escalated a bit post ceasefire by pulling out of this water treaty. I don't believe they've done anything to restrict water supplies yet, but they certainly could at any time. What is Pakistan's response to that, or what could an escalation look like?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to clarify to your viewers that it's not that easy that one fine day you shut the gate and water flows off, right? So that's not it. But what India has been doing for the past 2.5 years is bypassing the treaty. So what they're doing is there were 6 rivers divided amongst India and Pakistan according to the treaty. Now, 3 rivers are totally India's, but then the 3 that we have, they have some shares, but now they've started building over a period of time dams, which is illegal. Then, because Pakistan is an agri country, right? So the flow of the rivers cannot be controlled by India without negotiations with Pakistan. So we've seen a trend where wherever they feel like it, they divert the water or give us flows and not inform us. And that ends up in flooding or that affects our crops. So this has been happening. Now, Pakistan, as it is, you've seen, has faced the brunt of the climate change and our share in all the climate change devastation that the world is feeling and going. Pakistan has a very short, small percentage of, share in it, but we're facing the brunt of it. So if artificially they start diverting the water by creating dams and affecting the flow of the water, that's going to happen over a period of time. It is already happening, but to an extreme end. That will just add to the fuel of climate change and the kind of natural calamities that we are facing, right? So other than that, we generally feel that looking at Kashmir, looking at Indus Water Treaty, looking at just getting up anytime. You see, Scott, the problem is anytime there's going to be a terrorist attack in India, without any kind of consultation, without any kind of proof, will we be always blamed? Because right now our narrative that we bring to US is of peace, peace with responsibility, peace not because we are weak, peace because that's the way forward. And India is still bringing a negative narrative of sanctions, putting sanctions on Pakistan, and allying with them. This kind of bully behavior, negativity, asking IMF to not approve our loans, calling us terrorists, whereas Pakistan is one country which has been affected so much because of terrorism, and we've stood by the countries, we've stood by US to fight against terrorism. So we've been affected the most. We as politicians, as people, have given in so much and always got to hear, do more, do more.
Yeah.
And after that, if India is building up that narrative, then you see things don't look very promising.
So what do you think the risk is that this terrorist organization that conducted this attack in Kashmir, that gave India an excuse to respond the way they did and triggered this escalation, what is the risk that this terrorist group goes ahead and does another attack, and in a way that neither Pakistan or India can control, triggers further escalation? What's the risk there, and what's the Pakistani government doing to mitigate that risk?
First of all, Scott, I'd like to tell the audience that the place where the terrorist attack happened is the military place, where so much surveillance, so much military personnel are posted, that how did the terrorists even bypass that? That's a serious question mark that their media and their political parties are raising for India.
If you're going to ask that question, I got to ask why Osama bin Laden got to hang out down the road from your military academy.
But okay,
I mean, like, that's the same thing.
Okay, but then you see, every time you there's a terrorist attack, you need to show proof. You, without talking, can't start bombing. This is not how it works. This is not how it works. And India right now is being criticized by their own opposition, their own government, their own people, that you're making our position weaker by the day. Then we went to the UN. India, with their delegations going left, right, center, they have not sent a single delegation in UN because they know they went against the treaty, be it about Kashmir, be it about Indus Water Treaty. So they have sent nobody at UN. So indirectly, they're just denying the authority of UN. And that's setting examples. If I'm saying, let's talk about it, let's come on table, that's the prerogative of our prime minister, we're giving a message to the world that is at war, that war is not the solution. So if you start questioning UN, so are you giving a message to the world that, yes, you can easily question all the treaties and get away with it? So yes.
Well, I think the current American administration is absolutely sending a message to the world that you can question all the treaties. So I wonder, I get what you're trying to do, but how much utility do you actually think there is in going to international institutions and asking for their help in this situation? In a world where international institutions are backed by the U.S. and the U.S. is not very interested in playing ball these days.
But you see, when it comes to trade and when it comes to their own interests, they do listen.
Okay.
So, yes.
So is this about...
So we're not talking about who's right or who's wrong. We bring to the table how will this affect you? Because China will side by Pakistan. We've shown already that our armed forces are way more capable than India. So if we get into war, the whole region gets affected, and say bye-bye to economic development and trade and all the investments in that particular region. Yes.
Okay. So part of this is appealing to international institutions, and part of this is, hey, we have something to offer, so let's find a way to resolve this so we can all keep playing together. Okay. Yes. So there's some real tangible, hard politic considerations behind this. It's not just all fluff and feel goods.
Yes.
All right. So I got to ask too, because I was an officer in Army Special Forces. I served in Afghanistan. I dealt with opposing forces that were directly sponsored by Pakistani intelligence services in Afghanistan. America would call them terrorists. That's a loaded term in a lot of circumstances. But have you encountered any difficulties walking around Washington, D.C., trying to ask for help from the United States, given America's previous 20 years in Afghanistan? Because the 20 years that we spent in Afghanistan, where Pakistan was our key ally in the region, undoubtedly, how has that experience changed the way Pakistan and the U.S. can talk today?
Scott, if you keep on going back in the past, because you see, with every government changing, policies change. Some governments are pro war, some aren't. Some look towards economic developments, trade. For us, even in Pakistan, multiple political scenarios have changed. Now, if you keep going back to the Taliban era, if you keep going back to 9/11, then there's no looking forward. If you keep pointing fingers, there's no way forward. So we're looking at the situation right now. We're looking at the world right now. Look where the world is going right now. So you see, we have to make decisions based on circumstances right now. What we ask of US is not who's right, who's wrong. We bring to the table what is it in it for you and for us and for the developing world, right? So if
Okay.
we keep revisiting, then I'm sorry, then you're done. You can't justify. I can't justify. I don't know what was happening. Who was sitting there thinking what? I don't know. What their priorities were, what their prerogative was. I'm just looking at Trump right now, and I know for a fact what he wants right now. So I bring my whatever I have to bring accordingly.
Okay. Well, what do you think Trump's interest in Pakistan is right now? And how have y'all used his recent tariff policy to discuss ongoing relations in DC?
So, Scott, again, I'd like to reinforce one thing that it's not just about what Trump is looking in Pakistan. What Trump is looking in that region is very important. If there's war between two nuclear countries, that whole region goes down. And are we willing to sacrifice that? As it is, there's so much chaos happening everywhere else that right now, when we have the opportunity, why shouldn't we knock every door? Why should we go into war after 10 years, find out things are devastated, this whole region is gone, there's no solution? So, yeah, I keep on reinforcing it's not just Pakistan going into war, it's that region getting affected. Yes.
Do you think America's primary interest in this conflict and in supporting Pakistan is about preventing a war between India and Pakistan? Or are there particular things that Pakistan can offer America that India can't? I mean, if it came down to pure transaction, how can Pakistan be a better friend to America than
No,
India?
it's not about what Pakistan. It's about coming to the sense that India, Pakistan, China, all these places, Afghanistan, they can all focus their energies on going towards trade and development. So it's not about, oh, take our side because we have something better to offer than India. No. We're not of that opinion. We're not even selling that. We are saying, let's all sit and work toward the development and betterment of our countries individually. And yes, in this give and take situation, we can all get benefits. Yes.
Okay.
So instead of, for a message for India is instead of, because recently there's been a lot of trade talks regarding minerals as far as Balochistan is concerned. And now India, instead of focusing on developing or focusing on its own trade, there's certain amount of upsurge in terrorist activities in Balochistan just to keep away the investors, right? Now, we're not just saying these are not false accusations. We've given proof. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not about choosing Pakistan over India. No, it's about helping create peace in this region so that each country has something special to offer and let that be part of that deal. That's it.
So the Kashmir region and the provinces around it, both in India and Pakistan, have had a lot of violent events, some criminal, some terrorist related, some state related, for decades now. What do you think the root cause of violence in and around Kashmir is? And is there any path forward that you see where the issue could be resolved and relations normalized?
Yes. India needs to realize that Kashmir is again the occupied Kashmir. There's been the kind of brutality that you see in India. the kind of genocide that's happening there. It's another example of India's bully behavior. So they have no justification of taking over India. But at that time as well, Pakistan has never initiated war. But wherever it comes to our own security, if we had to attack India when they took over Kashmir by force, there was I believe there's still a curfew there. The kind of killings that's happening in Kashmir, we could have attacked India then. But at that time as well, we looked at all these organizations to come in, be the mediator. And maybe that just, gave more confidence to India to keep doing this, to keep taking away more and more and more from Pakistan and thinking that every time we take Kashmir from them, they keep quiet. They look at UN, they look at other organizations to come in to be the mediator. Then they took our water or tried to take our water. We keep quiet. Okay, we keep quiet. They attack. They have terrorist movement. So it's been happening, and every time we always would want. And not just because Pakistan is such a peace-loving country. No, we can't afford war. Nobody can. Here we have all these strict deals that are happening with IMF. We need to get our economy back. There's political unrest in Pakistan. We need to manage that as well. And we have no time for all this random nuisance. It has a lot of nuisance value.
So you mentioned political unrest in Pakistan. Pakistan has had one of the most, got to give y'all credit. Y'all have tried so hard to be a democratic country for so long, and you've made great work, but it's been a very rauncous ride from the outside looking in. What do you think about the state of politics in Pakistan, especially between who controls the government and government decision-making, whether it's the current civilian government or the military, and where the centers of power lie? And do you think the division between the military and civilian power brokers makes it more difficult for Pakistan to confront challenges like the ongoing conflict in Kashmir?
No, you see, Kashmir and the conflict happening has nothing to do with military and political parties not being on the same page.
Okay.
You see, Pakistan, alhamdulillah, has a very powerful army, and we've proven, right? So that has nothing to do. Yes, this whole political unrest, Pakistan is still struggling with democracy. It's somehow a very sad state that completing our tenure, the kind of unrest that happens. You see, this is another reason why I say that we're so involved in our own drama that we don't need India. And India, whereas India's all elections are based on Pakistan. We have enough drama to deal with. So India has never been in our attention. But somehow Pakistan has always been the center stage for India. So coming back to Pakistan, yes, we're trying to work with democracy. We're trying to make it better. There are some improvements. It's like they say, Rome was not created overnight. It will take time, but Pakistan, inshallah, is headed in the right direction. Be it about women representation, be it about women in key positions, having those kinds of rights, being vocal about things. And so, yes, every country has its pros and cons and issues and everything. There's no one set rule that this will work for the country. Even US has had quite a few instances, and every country has. Because I generally feel that everywhere there is this certain kind of frustration. You go anywhere in the world now, there are riots, there's uncertainty, there's an ill will with the current government. So it's not just Pakistan. I'm seeing, because I get to travel a lot, and I'm seeing that kind of unrest everywhere. I was recently in Turkey. I saw that there. And, there's this wave of unrest amongst the country regarding political leadership.
So when it comes to the Kashmir question, you've talked about India's occupation. Do you think that there's any future where India and Pakistan both agree that the current line of demarcation between their forces is the new border and that the dispute is resolved? Would Pakistan be willing to resolve the dispute along the current geographic boundary that exists and let India have the other part of Kashmir that it currently administers? You guys take the part that you administer, and that's just the end of it.
Initially, when Kashmir was supposed to be distributed, it was on the ethnic majority.
Mm-hmm.
And because Kashmir is a Muslim state where there's majority Muslims. So what India is doing through genocide, it's killing all the Muslims so that, even that option there should not be there. The Kashmiris themselves, because it's their place, their state, let them decide.
So if Kashmir had an election and they voted on becoming an independent province separate from Pakistan and India, Pakistan would sign up for letting Kashmir be an independent province.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
I mean, it sounds good to me. I've just never heard anyone from Pakistan or India say that.
No, because our women, Muslim women, are getting raped there. The children, the boys, they're dying because it's genocide, like completely wiping out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, on humane grounds, if they want to be a separate province or be a separate country for that matter, they should.
Okay. Well, back to the potential escalation between Pakistan and India. What is domestic sentiment in Pakistan right now in regards to the exchange of hostile fire with India? Because y'all air defense system kicked in, shot down some of their jets, but they dropped bombs on Pakistani soil. And I know in America, the couple times that anyone dropped bombs on our soil, the amount of hawks that came out of the woodwork demanding war, demanding let's kill them all, was over the top and drove our politics. So you're bringing this message of peace and constraint and reasonability, but I have to imagine there's segments inside Pakistan that want to go for blood right now.
No, you see, Scott, it had a different effect on Pakistanis. Pakistan recently, because of the political unrest amongst different parties, we had become a very polarized country, nation. So this war actually brought us together, and as a nation, and because there was victory involved, and Pakistanis have a different take on war, because of all the religious element attached to it. And so this brought us together. And when we saw armed forces, so we are very high spirited that yes, we have the power. Yes, we have and we again come with the message of peace. So Pakistanis are not taking it in a very negative way, right? Indians, on the other hand, be it about the celebrities, the kind of hate speech, the propaganda they do using, and even look at the message they're bringing to the world. You see, we're very happy our egos aren't hurt. Yes, they've been martyrs. Yes, we feel very upset about it. But India's this attempt of whatever war situation it created, it brought the nation together. So the feelings back home of positivity. There's a lot of love for the country. There's a lot of pride for the armed forces. And there's a lot of unity. So we're just enjoying that right now.
So you'll have a lot of political unity back home. A lot of the rally around the flag effect, we'd say in international relations literature, but not a lot of bloodlust leaking its way into the political decision-making process.
So, can you repeat yourself? Bas ka 2 ghante, 1.5 ka interview ho gaya. Yes, can you please repeat?
Yep, of course. I said, so y'all have a lot of unity at home, a lot of the rally around the flag effect that we would say in international relations. Then I use the term, but not a lot of bloodlust, war hawks, people pushing for violence, seeping its way into the political decision-making process.
Scott, honestly, I tell you, we've seen enough happening in Kashmir. We've seen enough happening at Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Our hearts are bleeding as it is. So we know to fuel our egos, let's go get into the war, even though we know our armed forces are way better than them. We are not of that opinion. And we don't believe in that. And Scott, I'm so sorry, but I'm running late for another meeting. So if you can cut short the...
Yep.
Yeah.
One follow-up and we'll get out of here.
Yes.
What do you think the future of American and Pakistani relations should be? And what barriers do you see to getting there? And what opportunities do you see that America and Pakistan should latch onto to have a better relationship?
So basically, what relationships Pakistan and America or India or any country for that matter should have is just about economic development, trade, and how we can help support each other, help each other grow, not talk about war, not talk about anything negative, and especially these propagandas, these instigations, creating hurdles for somebody. If some country is interested in Balochistan for minerals, please don't create problems. Let trade smoothly walk through. The world needs fresh examples. That's what I like. So let's not go back into histories constantly. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about faults that were created by different governments. So what we aspire from US is a healthy relationship where we can work our differences, we create ease for each other and help each other grow. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Really appreciate you coming to DC and sharing your country's message. And thank you for taking time to speak with us in the audience today.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in today. If you liked what you heard, please follow the podcast and share with your friends, and even consider going to the support the show link in the episode description. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time.